session, which is Application Use Case Lightning Talks, a segment on use case applications where you will hear three use cases from diverse industries. Up first is on the topic content moderation in LinkedIn's dynamic ecosystem. We have our first speaker with us. Please welcome on stage Shambhavi Saha. Shambhavi is a senior software engineer at LinkedIn, where she has been contributing to the trust and safety of the platform for the past 2.5 years. As a full stack engineer, Shambhavi has worked on various layers of content moderation, from developing tools and assistants for human reviewers to integrating with AI models for moderating content, all while managing scale and complexity. Her expertise in creating innovative solutions ensures a safe and dynamic environment on LinkedIn. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Shambhavi Saha.
Mic check. Okay, hello. Yeah. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Shambhavi and I work at LinkedIn. Welcome to Grace Hopper Celebration. It is such an honor to be here among so many wonderful engineers and people who work in tech. So today I'm going to talk to you about a very important aspect of LinkedIn, that is, excuse me. Okay, sorry. It worked. Okay, content moderation. It keeps LinkedIn a space where members feel free to share, learn, and grow, maintaining a balance between both openness and professionalism. So today we will explore how LinkedIn manages content moderation with the help of human expertise, AI, and machine models. Okay. But before that, let's take a quick look at LinkedIn scale. We are talking about over 1 billion members from 200 countries and territories, 9,000 plus jobs getting posted everywhere, 67 million weekly job seekers, 600 million plus reach of LinkedIn's editorial content. I can keep sharing those insights more. This scale is quite exciting, but it has challenges as well. Think about the volume of content that is coming and people are sharing, from professional achievements, job postings, articles, and whatnot. With such insane global community, how do we ensure that LinkedIn remains one of the most trusted platforms? That is where content moderation kicks in. It is more than just about blocking some harmful post. It is about maintaining a professional space where everyone feels supported. But what exactly is content moderation? At its core, it is about monitoring, evaluating, and managing user-generated content to help ensure that it follows our community guidelines and policies. It involves AI, human expertise, machine models. While AI and machine models handle majority of scale content moderation and can catch any potential issues quickly, human moderation and generative AI brings more context, understanding for complex use cases. So why is content moderation so important? I can think of three key reasons. First, credibility. LinkedIn is where we share our professional stories, any job updates, or anything else. If misinformation and misleading content starts taking over, credibility is lost. Moderation aims to ensure that every post you see on your feed adds some value so that LinkedIn remains a platform for growth. Second, security. Each member should feel safe on the platform, and we should strive towards building a more secure and respectful platform. Third, reliability. Think of asking for some job tips and receiving a response which is full of scam and false information. That would be so frustrating, right? Hence, we put in our efforts to keep the interactions authentic. So now that we understand what is content moderation and why is it so important, let's understand how LinkedIn does content moderation with the help of human expertise, AI, and machine models. It starts the moment when a content is flagged on linkedin.com by a member or a machine. And from there, it can lead to multiple pathways, like automated moderation to human reviews. So let me walk you through this journey. As you can see, when a member reports a content on the platform, they also get to choose the reporting reason with it. This information then serves as a signal for identification and categorization of the issue and prioritization, which we'll discuss in the later slides as well. So once the content is reported, we aim to ensure finding the right expertise to review the right content. We emphasize on AI collaboration, and we also aim to ensure high decision quality and accuracy. Let's start with right moderators. Imagine that you are at an airport and there are thousands of travelers, each having different destination, language, and needs. Now think of moderators as specialized airline agents. We would want to ensure that each traveler gets the right assistance, someone who speaks their language, someone who is skilled to resolve the issues that they are facing. Similarly here, we have first moderators having different set of skills and expertise in different areas. Second, content with context, which can be dynamic in nature. Business constraints, which are mainly the rules that governs the assignment and prioritization of a content to the moderator. So let's understand this better with the help of an example. Yeah. So let's say on LinkedIn, content is being posted in multiple languages, French, Spanish, German, English. And at the other end, we have our moderators who are expert in different languages. Our system understands the language of the content, and it tries to match it with the moderator who is fluent in that language to ensure that we are moderating with the right moderators. This matching is pretty complicated because of the scale, and hence we try to match with the most optimal solution. So this is the assignment part of it. Alex will receive both French and English content because he has the skill to work on both French and English content. Rachel will receive Spanish and English language content, and Maria will receive only German content. Let's move to the prioritization part. It may occur that some content requires quick intervention based on the severity, which can again be a function of multiple signals, one of which can be member report, the reason with which the member reported the content with. So we maintain a system level prioritization order, and based on that, we ensure that higher severity content gets reviewed first. So here, John has the skill to work on both critical and medium severity content, but he'll receive critical content first and then the medium severity content. Now let's move on to the role of AI in moderation. All the posts that is generated on LinkedIn.com goes through multiple layers of moderation. Broadly, we can categorize it into two: machine moderation with AI, which handles most of the cases, and then human moderation with generative AI to handle the complex cases. Let's understand machine moderation. It can be a mix of both traditional models and AI-based models, which are specialized and specifically trained on policies. So each content is scanned through multiple models, and each model can give a verdict, yes or no, with some probability score. When we have high confidence score, we send it to the aggregator, which can then take the final action, and machine can straight away moderate the content. Most of the content is handled by machine moderation, but for complex cases where it is not certain, the content flow in our pipeline further for human moderation and GenAI. So GenAI is used to assist us with nuanced cases, especially when we want to understand the context behind some ambiguous content. For example, there can be a post that reads, "I can't believe my colleague really did that." This can be a complete harmless post, or it can indicate a serious issue. GenAI understands the surrounding conversation, the tone, and maybe the user history. Another sarcastic comment can be like, "Oh, yet another great update from the team." GenAI is capable of differentiating genuine praise from sarcasm. So when we have extremely high confidence score, AI can take the action on the content right away. But if, for even more complex use cases, it goes to human moderation. So what we do is we factor in dynamic context. Is the content time critical? Does it have any sensitive subject? Does it involve any trending topic? And based on this prioritization, we ensure that urgent issues are addressed first while maintaining the overall quality for everything else. This prioritization is then fed to our assignment engine, which assigns the content to the moderators. Now let's jump to high decision quality. So you can think of it as quality checks done in a factory. To avoid any potential error, a content can be moderated more than one reviewer. And what we do is that if there is some differing opinions or cases of conflicts, we may send it to more moderators or an expert moderator. When we have all the decisions, we have different strategies to aggregate those decisions and then take the final action on the content. So you can think that a system spawns multiple branches, which can either be sequentially moderated or parallelly, depending on the use case. And then we have an aggregator at the end, which considers all the decision and finally takes the action on the content. This layered approach aims to ensure that the moderation is consistent and fair throughout. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining me in this session. And moderation is not only about technology, it is about the members, community, and the trust we build together. So I would love to continue this conversation. You can scan this QR code and talk to me on LinkedIn or meet me outside. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Shambhavi. I'd like to request the session chair, Kavya, to please come forward and present Shambhavi with a small token of our appreciation. We'd like to thank her once again for that lightning talk on the topic, content moderation in LinkedIn's dynamic ecosystem. Please give her a big round of applause.
Thank you so much.
We move into our second topic in the session of application use case lightning talks, and the topic is revolutionizing document processing at Uber with Gen AI. We have two speakers. I'd like to introduce both of them to you before they come up on stage. We have with us first Nikita Goyal, senior software developer at Uber. Nikita Goyal is a senior software engineer at Uber, as I just mentioned, driving fintech innovation through scalable compliance solutions essential to Uber's global financial resilience. With a commitment to mentorship and team growth, Nikita shapes future leaders while setting new standards in fintech excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nikita. Joining her on stage is also Indrani Bose, senior engineering manager at Uber. She has 20 years of experience in the fintech, e-commerce, and banking sector. She's skilled in program delivery, people management, and machine learning with a proven track record of building teams from the ground up, implementing strategic roadmaps, and driving agile transformations across multiple organizations. She's lead for DEI Uber India and an advocate of lifelong learning. Please welcome Indrani Bose.
Where is the... Okay. Where is that? Okay. Okay. Sorry?
Welcome everyone, and thanks for having us here. So I'm Indrani and joined by my colleague Nikita.
Hi everyone, my name is Nikita, again like senior engineer at Uber.
So today we are going to talk about documents. Documents have been an interest within the ML community for ages now, and we at Uber, we have a plethora of documents. Think about the toll receipts that you get while you're taking an Uber ride, or even the images that needs to be scanned and put up in its menu. From driver licenses to insurance documents, you think about it, we have it all. Today we are going to talk about a special type of documents that we have. These are supplier invoices. Suppliers work with us in various sectors like providing cloud services, facilities management, supply chain logistics, across 90 countries, wherever Uber operates. And then we have like 20 plus languages they provide us the payment invoices in. And English is just a very small part of it. These invoices are of varied kinds. We have multiple versions within the same invoices. They can be scanned, they can be handwritten, we get inverted images, there's our multi-pages can go up to like close to 100 pages. And our job is to extract relevant information from those pages and make sure that our suppliers get paid on time.
So each suppliers often provides invoices in a unique format. So here are some samples we are sharing with you. If you see the first one, first of all, the layout is very different. Second, you can see multiple lines with a lot of text. And along the side on the left, you can see some numbers, figures. Second is the mixed content. And you can see there is a printed text along with the handwritten text. And we can have, like as Indrani mentioned, multiple pages and the critical finance data, such as the payment terms, amounts can present on any page. So here we are talking about the finance data and processing the document. So extracting such complicated data for such diverse use cases, we initially tackled using a rule-based solution, and which was very efficient for known patterns. But actually it struggled to handle variation and unforeseen formats. So here were the challenges with the rule-based solution. Processing time. Suppose new vendor onboard with us and with a new format. So we had to manually intervene there and create a new rules in the system. And that was adding a processing time. As a result, considering the volume and variety at Uber, you can think about accuracy was impacted using that solution. And scale, it wasn't able to scale for like diverse use cases. And cost, two costs I'm talking about. One is the processing of the document. Second is the operational cost, because somebody needs to sit and type the rules and also manually review it. So considering all this, we built a ML solution, and Indrani will talk about our journey.
Thanks, Nikita. So we started with very simple models, like encoder-decoder based models. They did relatively well in the header and the line accuracies, but as the documents started becoming complicated and in the multiple pages, the accuracy started dipping. There was considerable amount of effort that was required to train and baseline these models. Also, since these were simple ones, explainability was good. This was the time we started exploring the LLMs, and here we did see good uptick in accuracy on the headers as well as multiple lines. But as we went into multiple pages, we started seeing an issue with that. Also, the effort was significantly high, and because these were a little more complex than our base models, the explainability started dipping. This was also the time that coincided with the GenAI GPT-4 revolution, and the GPT-4 models worked really well for us, whether it be headers or multiple lines, multiple pages. They were really doing well, at least meeting our business standards. The effort was more or less okay. However, the explainability went down a little bit because now we were not having the models in-house. So that was definitely a concern. But since it was solving 90% of our problems, we were okay with it. But that's where we are right now. For the 10% which we have not been able to solve yet, it needs very targeted, contextual and special information. That's where we are trying out our next approach, where we are trying to combine the GenAI models with custom-built LLMs. We have seen good results to start with, but the accuracy we need to maintain at the level at which we saw. Effort is something that we are trying to manage if we can keep it under control. And one of the things that we would definitely be working on is explainability as we adopt more of GenAI.
So let's talk about results. So we use GenAI for supplier invoicing. So first of all, we reduce the processing time significantly. And that impacts the operational efficiency and also improve handling time of the invoice. Second is processing cost of the invoice was also reduced, and similarly the like the operator involved, like we also save some business cost also in that. And currently we launched this feature, this solution in 40 countries. That demonstrates the scalability and the adaptability like for like new regions and supplier requirements. And talking about the accuracy, as Indrani mentioned, we measure different metrics for accuracy at a granular level because we are talking about the documents and the invoice and the critical finance data. And we see improvement in that. So key learnings I'd like to share with everyone with respect to prompt engineering. So first thing is the contextual labeling. So adding a clear entity label can improve the accuracy of data extraction, and we use mix of one-shot, zero-shot and one-shot prompting technique for that. Second is fine-tuning parameters like temperature, top P, top K can help you improve the accuracy of your results. Third is the focus instruction. And if you see, instead of putting everything into the GenAI blindly, have something so that you can deliver the targeted and context-aware response. So make sure don't trust, like pass everything, focus instruction. One important thing is HIL, that is human in loop. See, we are talking about money movements, and Uber is paying outside, so we are very careful about how much Uber is paying. So human in loop is there to validate the response generated by the solution and also provide us corrective feedback. Considering we have a feedback, by combining the automation plus the human expertise, we basically gain the confidence on the solution. Basically, we measure multiple metrics, and based on that, we basically got a confidence on the solution. Last is a schema definition. So whatever feedback we got from the human in loop, we stored that in a structured way. And on top, we continuously use that result to improve our data extraction quality. So that was about the learning I'd like to share. It's not working. Okay. So talking about the core principle we use to design this solution. Number one is scalability to support diverse use cases of documents. Second is the extensibility to using the modular and pluggable design for future use cases, current and future use cases. Third is the workflow-based management. What is it to effectively handle complex document processing? Last, Uber's favorite, minimize the coding using configuration-based integration. So,
Yeah, and all of this we were able to do on our platform, which is called Michelangelo. This is like a self-serve platform which is dedicated for the ML engineers and data scientists, which kind of supports all of the ML development lifecycle. And we have also shared a link to Michelangelo. You can go and check out on the Uber blog all the amazing things that Uber is doing, especially in the GenAI and the ML AI space. So with that, I think we come to the end of our presentation. If there are any questions, we would be happy to take it while we are around. Thank
so
you.
one thing I'd like to add that whatever we have discussed, we will soon be having an engineering blog for that with detailed information. So keep an eye on Uber's engineering blog for more details. So yeah, thank you. If you have any question, we can discuss right now or think up after this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
On that note, we'd like to thank both of them for that presentation. I'd like to request Kavya to please come forward and present a small token of our appreciation to both Nikita Goyal and Indrani Bose. I'd like to thank the both once again for that application use case lightning talk on the topic, revolutionizing document processing at Uber with Gen AI. We're going to move into our next topic, which is message categorization using AI ML. We have with us this afternoon Anu Ravi. Please give her a big round of applause. She's Vice President, ANZ Operations and Technology. As a strategic leader with over 2 decades of experience, Anu has consistently driven transformative change across multiple geographies and industries, specializing in large-scale transformations and delivering operational efficiencies. Please welcome her once again, Anu Ravi.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be part of this conference, talking about a very important and relevant topic. That's with regard to message categorization for fraud detection. Before I start this topic, I've got Himanshu who will give away some goodies. So let me ask you 2 questions. How many of you have received messages which are too good to be believed? Raise your hands. How many of you have actually looked at those messages and got back to the bank to check the authenticity of the messages? Raise your hands. Thank you so much. I see that there are a lot of diligent people who are sitting here. Let's dive in. Excuse me? Excuse me? This one? Yes. Let's dive in now. Asha is a techie who one day received a message which read, "Suspicious activity detected on your account. Click here to secure your account immediately." Rushed and worried, she clicks on the link to be taken to a website which looks very similar to her bank's login page. She enters her username, password, and even the one-time OTP which she received on her mobile. Bingo! What happens? She receives another set of message which reads that huge sums of money has been debited from her account. Panicking, she calls up the bank only to realize it is too late. All this happened because of a single well-disguised message. Unfortunately, these stories are not very uncommon. Thousands of people like Asha are falling prey to scamsters. Scamsters are becoming increasingly intelligent. They are mimicking the banks, the government agencies, and even the service providers. This is where message classification powered by AI ML comes into play. Fraudulent messages pose a threat not only to the businesses, but all of us as customers. The impact of fraudulent messages are that there may be financial losses, there may be reputation breaches, regulatory breaches, reputational losses, and decrease in customer trust. Fraudsters are using various channels such as SMS, also called as smishing, which resulted in an estimated loss of around $334 million annually. Email phishing resulted in 36% of all data breaches. And social media scams resulted in 25% of all frauds. Now we understand why message classification is so very important and so very relevant topic to talk today. So what's message classification, right? It is just categorizing of messages for the content and their intent. This is critical for fraud detection and protecting our customer data. Let's dive in a little more technical about AI/ML, right? Our use case started with the first step where we actually collected vast amounts of data, and then the next step obviously is cleaning the data. So after collecting vast amounts of data and then using the data, we looked at what could be deleted, what is irrelevant for us. So we deleted those data, and then we handled the nulls, and then categorized the rest of the data as ham messages and spam messages. The next step was obviously the exploratory data analysis, where we used tools like NLTK and Seaborn to visualize the data and handle that data for correlations. The third step was text processing, where we actually converted the data into smaller case, and then we used techniques like stemming and then removed the special characters. The fourth step was model building. We used sklearn for model building and then worked with various models such as decision trees, random forest, and finally we settled with multinomial algorithm, which gave us 97% accuracy. We also used JavaScript and Streamlit for UI and for smooth integration with IB and mobile apps. Our key differentiators were that we used native models, we used wrappers, we used open source libraries to reduce the cost. We prioritized AI ethics and data security to ensure that our customer data are handled safely and securely. Obviously, building a robust fraud classification system, message classification system, results in a lot of benefits, such as real-time decision, enhanced scalability, increased accuracy, cost savings, increased privacy, improved customer satisfaction. A use case of this kind will be marred with challenges. The first challenge was obviously the data quality. We use synthetic data to avoid overfitting and underfitting. And as I told you, we use techniques like stemming, which means that the words were converted to base words. For example, dancing to dance, walking to walk. That helped improve our accuracy. The next challenge was balancing accuracy was really vital for us to avoid false positives and negatives. Blocking legitimate messages or allowing fraudulent ones would have led to customer dissatisfaction and potential losses. In order to ensure data privacy, we conformed ourselves to use whatever has regulators decided for us. And the last one was adaptability. As you know, there are a lot of things which are changing. Fraudsters are also becoming intelligent, and hence we had to adapt our models to suit the requirements. Apart from fraud detection, message classification can also be used for filtering promotional or irrelevant messages. You would have seen Gmail, where they're actually categorizing spam messages separately. The next use case could be the call center guys, where we are classifying incoming support messages to route it to the relevant agents or to the automated systems. The last one is the sentiment analysis, where we are examining the customer feedback and enhancing our services and product offerings. Google is actually doing a great job in analyzing the sentiments. We also think the future outlook for this use case is tremendous. With the increased sophistication in fraud tactics, there will be continuous drive for improving the AI ML algorithms. There is a potential for cross-industry impacts as more sectors adopt message classification to enhance security and efficiency. I want to conclude saying that message classification is critical for protecting business and customers. AI ML enables real-time scalable solutions that enhance security and build trust. Remember SHIELD. Stay ahead, harness AI, identify risk, empower users, look out for evolving tactics, defend digital spaces. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi rightly said, stay vigilant against fraud. Technology is a tool for empowerment, not exploitation. Use technology to protect and empower our communities to build a safer world. Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank Anu Ravi. Kindly requesting Kavya to please come forward and present Anu Ravi with a small token of appreciation on behalf of Anita B.